as usual, the price starts going up and people get happy again. So that's just kind of how it goes. But
That's all it
let's
takes.
lead off. That's all it takes. Bitcoin right now at about 63.5K. ETH just under 2,600. ETH has shown just itsy bitsy signs of life here in the last couple of days. Nothing dramatic. It still is pretty much crap against Bitcoin, and we're still gearing up for it to run. We are entering the final quarter, as Ewok mentioned here, of 2024 to see what ETH is made of here. But yeah, it has been moving up here recently, Bitcoin as well. And what do you know? It looks like September is probably going to end up being a green month across the board when everybody and their mother and their grandmother and maybe even their stepchildren were calling for it to be red. So looking pretty good here in September right now. So bullish overall after, how soon we forget the rate cuts were just last week. We had a 50-point rate cuts. That was everything that we were talking about last week. Lots of people in the markets discussing it. And we have seen bullish action in really all markets since then. The S&P 500 hit a new all-time high, I believe. So, yeah, what do you make of the fallout after those cuts and what we're seeing with all markets and crypto prices right now?
Well, since you brought it up, we'll pull up the S&P, and it looks like it is having a bit of a red candle day, down to like 57.22 right now. It did make an all-time high, but there was the pullback right after that. So that's a pullback. Dow Jones actually is having a bigger pullback than that as well. So it's down from 42.3 down to 41.9. So it had a pretty good drawback as well. But as far as the one thing that I'm seeing here, let's pull up the ETH Bitcoin ratio. I do believe this trend line I drew a long time ago, it looks like it kind of bottomed out right on there, and has been making a nice climb up. So hopefully we've seen the bottom of that ratio. Things are starting to really look pretty good. Now we do have a red candle right now on the daily as far as that ratio goes. But after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7 last days, I do think this trend has reversed. So we shall see how that plays out. But I think your ETH to Bitcoin ratio is definitely going to improve. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. As far as Bitcoin, it is having itself quite a big pullback today. It was up to almost 64.7, down to 63.3 right now. So that's a sizable pullback in a day for Bitcoin when things have been going fairly sideways. So if you notice, though, the moving average, the 50-day moving average, is really kind of curling, though. So
yeah,
when that happens and it does break above this 200 moving average, that's a very bullish sign. And this has usually been, well, it's 200 days, so it's a very gradual slope. But when this 50-day curves like that, it tends to break above it. So lots of bullish signs here that are looking pretty good. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now.
It just makes sense that we're in this bullish environment at this point. I mean, we just had the rate cuts. The market is reacting very positively to that. We've long talked about like all the positive well, I don't know if you want to call it positive, but dramatic things are happening in the United States here over the next few months. I'm totally disillusioned with any and all election talk. I'm sure many people can share that sentiment, but we got that coming up and a lot of other stuff. It figures to be a crazy Q4, just again, with American economics, world economics, everything going on in the world right now, and especially what we can get out of this crypto market. So Pulse Jiu-Jitsu, Fast Abdul, welcome in, my friend. And yeah, things are looking good. Bitcoin, yeah, having a little bit of a down day today, but it does figure like after these moves up by a lot of these ecosystems that we do have some volatility and some moves back down. Even with Pulse Chain, I mean, we're going to get there in a minute, but we're seeing it come down a little bit after some really hot moves over the last couple of days here. So that's just kind of what you can expect after things have pumped. So Bitcoin looking okay. ETH catching up just ever so slightly. It is back over that 0.04 number again in its ratio to BTC. So Hoping Ethereum will curl up here soon. Vitalik out there doing weird stuff as always. And, you know, it's like some of the weird stuff he does is welcome. And, you know, you think it's going to help ETH pump. Some of it a little bit questionable. So we'll kind of see what he's doing out there. Do you have any final comments on ETH and or BTC for now, Ewok?
No, I don't think so. I just think people, you know, I'm seeing it in our comments too. I think a lot of people learned lessons last cycle. Some people that were in this RH ecosystem was possibly their first cycle, whether they bought in tops, whether they had been there a long time, staked everything and didn't get a chance to exit. I think there's going to be a lot of people that do things differently. I'm seeing several people in here talking about this is called the retirement cycle. So it's interesting to see that. I hope they have a plan. You know, we've talked about this before.
We're going to talk about it tonight, actually.
Yeah. So